So let's talk about tangents just a little bit as something to be aware of all the time in your practice of the art. And what you have here is the Wikipedia definition of what tangents are, the geometry definition. The tangent line to a plane curve at a given point is a straight line that just touches the curve at that point. The way I like to talk about it to my students is slightly different. I usually say that it is a line or even a shape that connects with another line or another shape without cutting it. So it connects, but it does not cut. And this vocabulary is very important when we talk about tangents, because the solution to tangents is, instead of just connecting without cutting, the idea is to cut and to actually overlap. And I made some tiny little bad drawings that I will happily share with you about that topic. For example, in the demonstration I messed up earlier, I was thinking I was sharing that, but I was not. And so I made those adorable little drawings earlier. And here we have a tree that is obviously closer to us. We have a house or a building that is further down in the distance. And yet, visually, they connect right here. And that connection gives us the illusion that they touch. And that, in a way, the tree going this way will be stopped by the wall of the house. Or that, even more probable, if the house is moving this way, it will get stopped by the tree. Both of those shapes, because they connect just like that, they look like they are visual stoppers, and they look like those shapes are connecting, where in fact we know that the tree is closer to us. And so a way that I usually teach those things is by making terrible drawings. And that works a lot with my students, because by making terrible little drawings, nobody is focusing on the quality of the craft, but instead of the points I'm making. And so what you see right there is an horizon line. And what you see, oh, no, too bad. What you see right here, too bad. Even worse. What you see right here is some dude that is in a terrible mood today with some kind of single action with a barrel, gun, whatever. And that dude, right there, I'm going to be just a tiny bit picky and maybe just remove the horizon line. If anyone is attending this live disaster that I'm doing right now, I hope you are not here for quality of painting, because that's not what I'm going to show off. I mean, yeah, I will at some point, but not right now. So that dude with a firearm is in the field. We are witnessing a beautiful western scene, and in the sky we have some clouds. All right. And these clouds, just, cool clouds in the sky, as far as they are away from the character and everything, they look like it. But if I put that cloud right there in the background, then the human eye and the brain will connect the cloud and the gun automatically and assume that this idiot fired his gun in the sky. Which we all know that, if a bullet goes up, a bullet must fall. But you see my point. We visually look at things and connect them. The brain is at work. And so depending on how you connect your shapes, this is a cloud, this is a gun smoking, this is the main character smoking a cigarette, all right? And I think with guns, cigarettes, and everything, I probably put everything I needed to make this video somewhat inappropriate. So that's why we don't talk about tangent exactly in the geometrical way, but more in the artistic way, and that's why I talk about connecting lines or shapes. And the way they overlap sometimes. Same thing if you put the cloud right there on the head of the character, it just looks like the dude had a brain fart, and that's it. But if you put it right there, and erase that, then the character and the clouds overlap. It does not look like the shape of the cloud is hitting or just connecting with the head of the character, and therefore it works. Let's add something else. Let's paint a beautiful house in that little prairie of ours. And that's the house right there. You can all identify that beautiful house shape that we are all familiar with. There is a front porch. There is some stuff right here, some other stuff. It's full of stuff, that. And then there is a chimney right there. Right. Cool. Gorgeous house. I'm sure we all want to live in that. It feels cozy. The walls are black. Perfect. And it's a sunny day. So in the sky is the sun. And I'm just going to repeat exactly what I have done because I think repetition is good for engraving thoughts and ideas in the head of students. So, you take one concept, you take one idea, and you make sure you repeat it enough during a class. With a French accent, if you have one, it helps. And so, that sun, if I overlap it with a house like this, suddenly it's not a sun, right? Suddenly it's some kind of weird balloon because it's going over the house, and obviously it's not far in the sky. If I put the sun back there, then we have it, right? We have the sun in the background, the house in front of it. The house is dark because it's, a darker value with a bright source of light in the back. So it eclipses with the sun. So far, so good. But if I put the sun right here, exactly right here, then we have a problem. Because now we don't really have a house. We have a house, but there is some kind of big yellow balloon again that is on the roof and that looks like it has been rolling this way until it hit the chimney and was stopped. So we did not change anything. It is the same shape, the same size, the same color, the same sun. But depending of if we put it right there in the sky or right there, it's all working, right? But if we put it right here, we create visual connections for the eyes of the viewer. The human eye will automatically connect shape and associate them because they connect, because visual shapes are acting as stoppers. Same thing, if I put the sun behind the gun, that's completely fine, right? But if I put it just right on top of the gun right now, then we have a bubble gun. I made one of the most awesome fun I have done today, the bubble gun. That's, yeah. And so this class is called Bullshit and Bubble Gun. So now we have a yellow bubble gun instead of a sun in the sky. All right, so that's really all you need to know when it comes to tangents. Not really. There's a lot more. But I'm just going to insist and reinforce the things I'm talking about. Here is a painting I created a while back for my first role-playing game, Gods, that people are still waiting for. It's in print, so it's coming very soon. This image is another exercise of avoiding tangents, because as I just explained, when you have elements from different grounds that are interacting together, it makes it look like they are on the same ground, and we do not want this. So, for example, just to define that, this staircase in the back-ish, because it's a kind of an abstract staircase, really. If the step was stopping, what am I doing? If the step was stopping exactly on the same line than the shape in the background, right there, then I'm missing an opportunity to give that feeling of depth into the image. I'm connecting shapes that don't need to be connected. And there are many places where I'm careful with my tangents. For example, I don't want it to look like there is a connection between this and that line, for example. So if I had, and I did not, but if I had put that line in the back right here, instead of where it's at, then I will have sent the viewer the wrong signal, and we will automatically have associated this to that line right there because of that connection here. And so as an artist, I am aware that my work is going to be seen by people who are going to look and subconsciously subconsciously most of the time actually, process the visual informations that I give to them and come to their own conclusion without even thinking about it. And we can go back to that sun on the house. Just because the shapes are touching without overlapping, the human brain connects them and puts them on the same ground. And so therefore, and again I repeat myself, it kills the depth within the image. This image has an interesting composition. Once again, I would love to make some class material with the work of other artists. And I do sometime, but never publicly. So because I'm recording this, I don't want to use the work of someone else, the work that is not mine. So I'm using my own artwork to show the things I want to talk about. And also, people who follow my classes are probably also curious about my process in my own artwork. So in this image, you have a lot of verticalities. And you also have a lot of horizontalities. All over this image, I have been careful with my tangents. In fact, I have not, I'm lying to you. I have allergies, so even if I'm not thinking about it, if they happen, I will automatically see them. Most of the time, of course, sometimes there are things I don't see. So this part, but also this part, for example, I could have made that mistake. I could have made a sword just to show you what mistake could have been done. I could have designed the sword like this, for example. And if I made the mistake of painting the sword like this, what would have happened is that I would have connected this part of the sword to the shape in the background. And that connection right here will make us feel that this and this are on the same ground. And they are not at all. And once again, the depth in my image, the distance between that secondary ground and here, there is a distance right here. And it does matter for the organization of the composition. And I'm getting tired of it, but the depth within your image. There is, however, and that's why I picked that specific image for this demonstration, there is a place where there is a tangent, a very strong tangent in the artwork, and it is right here. And this tangent is on purpose. This is a place where I literally decide to connect the character to her environment because she's leaning against it. They touch. So therefore, visual contact. No overlap, just connection. And so if you look back at what I was showing you just a few minutes ago about the verticalities and horizontalities within this artwork, now you can observe that there are really just almost two places that are strongly contradicting those verticalities and horizontalities. And it's those diagonals right here. And that diagonal, especially on the arm, the diagonal, because there is a change of direction compared to the rest of the image, it attracts the eye. The connection, the tangent, everything is attracting us to a point that is very important in the narrative of this image. And this is the bone, right there. And that weird cut, however you want to interpret it. I don't plan on explaining those things right now, but that's it. I am using tangents and directions to attract the eye within my composition. So now you understand why tangents are very important if you want to create images that look realistic with some kind of, once again, like say it with me, some depth. It also helps create clarity and organization within your image. If we look at the armpit, you will see that purposely I made sure that there was no tangent right there and that every shape exists and is interesting independently without connecting completely. I'm avoiding those tangents to make the image more accessible, less confused, easier to read. And therefore, the shape language I'm using, because they are all articulated the right way without those tangents, the shape language I'm using tells the story with clarity instead of confusing the eye of the viewer and pushing the viewer like I have to do with the work of some of my students, where I have to try to understand what is on what ground on the image because of the visual connection they created by making tangents. And now that I have talked about this and explained all that, I am going to show you just a couple other images that will completely engrave forever what I'm talking about with tangents. This is a normal-sized guitar that I'm pretending to hold in between my fingers by using tangents. So I'm using exactly what I was describing Of course, you know, like the blur of the guitar gives it away because what's closer to us on that photo, the focus is on the hand, so the hand is sharp-ish, and the guitar is blurry, but you get the idea. But the ultimate weapon for this demonstration is this. Anytime you go to Italy and contemplate the Pisa Tower, or you go to Paris, you will spot people taking photos in weird positions, and only once you understand what's going on, you realize that they are pretending to hold the Eiffel Tower in their hand. And what you have here is people just playing with that photographic trick to make something funny for them, and you know, but they are using the tangent system that we have just been talking about. They are just using it the other way. They are just making a clear demonstration of what you do not want to make in your artwork, and they use it to purposely confuse the depths. They play with that depth, they kill the depth between their hand and the Eiffel Tower by just juxtaposing them. And when you understand the power of that photographic little trick, or you can do the same with pretending that you are holding one of your friends in your hand, or you know, whatever, then that explains to you, that visual illusion explains to you how much, when you don't pay attention to the tangent within your artwork, you're actually living everywhere some little example of that visual trick, that visual illusion, that is confusing the eye. And when you work really hard on a certain narrative, and a way you decide, you know, to express that narrative through composition and visual language, you don't want to live in the middle of this entire system you are actively building. You don't want to leave those little mistakes that you make and that are working against you.